Welcome to another episode from the days when I drove a septic tanker truck. This was a temp job I did for a few weeks, and I loved it. My name is Cassie, and I drive trucks. During one of these days, I considered myself very lucky, because something happened and it could have gone a lot worse than it did. But we will get back to that in a bit. First, the day was going good. I emptied out the tank with my, by then, new Scania truck. This job was located a bit outside of the city, where there are no traditional sewer systems for the houses. Or should I say, modern sewer systems? Yeah. Instead, the houses have septic tanks underneath the ground, where the waste ends up. And these tanks need to be emptied out every once in a while, by trucks like this. There is no rule on where the tank should be placed on the residence, so sometimes you as a driver have to go on an Easter egg hunt to find the tank, but with way less candy as a reward. Gladly, most of the tanks were mapped out on a map that I had with me in the truck. So the tank can be very easy to access, or a bit more challenging. And also the truck needs to be somewhat flexible. Or rather, the driver needs to be flexible. And kinda strong. Because sometimes you have to extend the hose to make it longer for those places where the tank is not so easy to access. And these hoses can be quite heavy to drag around on. And since this procedure is done multiple times every day, this of course puts pressure on the equipment, the hoses themselves and the metal thingies that connect them. I have no idea what they are called in English, I am very sorry. So you need to be observant if there are any cracks or holes that show up in the hoses. And I think we can all imagine the worst case scenario when you empty a septic tank and there's a hole in the hose. So that's where I realized how lucky I was when I discovered that the ring that holds the connection thingy in place had come loose on the main hose. And that sounds weird when I say it like that, but hear me out. It was on the final stop on a Friday, and I had rolled out the hose and extended it. And I was just about to start emptying the septic tank, and if I had done that, well... This one just came off. I went to get the toolbox and I was actually a bit excited. Because on a modern truck, there really isn't much you can fix as a driver if something breaks. Most of it needs to be repaired at a workshop. But here I could actually fix it myself. I just needed to unscrew the ring, get the hose back in place and then tighten it again. But sadly, the right size for this tool was missing, so I had to pack up and go to the workshop for a better tool. Gladly, it was very close by. Back at the home garage, I found the correct tool and could resume the job. I just needed to unscrew the ring, get the hose back in place and then tighten it again. Also, I brought the saw in case the hose itself was damaged and needed to be cut off. This is what that looks like, by the way. Also, this is the other end of the hose that is connected to the truck permanently. Kind of. When I was being taught how to drive this truck, I heard a small whooshing sound when we were emptying tanks. And it turned out the hose had a hole in it. And I'm glad we got that fixed before I started driving myself. It wasn't the biggest repair, but there is something special about being able to fix something yourself. And of course that it's working afterwards. Success! Before I drove the truck over here, I had to make sure the hose connection wouldn't give in when I rolled it up. So I used an attachment and connected it in the other way, to not put pressure on it. And that meant I had to unroll it and change it back after I was done. I was a bit proud of myself here. I like to find solutions to problems that show up, and how it forces me to think creatively.
Down the winding roads where the pines grow tall, trucker Cassie's wheels answer the call. Summer sunshine and fields of gold inside. Through the Swedish countryside she rides all night. Trucker Cassie rolling free.
So you might be wondering, did that last septic tank ever get emptied? The answer is yes, but not until after the weekend. Most of the tanks were emptied on a somewhat regular schedule, and this tank was also a routine job. If it had been an emergency emptying, I would have gone back and taken care of it on the same day. But instead I parked the truck and went home to my pretty animals.
A little spell. From Stockholm's edge to the northern breeze, she's the queen of the road, cruising with ease. Trucker Cassie.
I was actually going through some rough parts of my life during the summer, and it felt so good that I had this job, because I could distract myself from my thoughts during the work days, and it meant a lot to know that the work I did here was appreciated. When I look back at this footage, I do feel happy, but I'm also reminded of how my life situation was at the time. Overall, I am very grateful that I got the opportunity and said yes to this job. I have learned so much from it, and I have grown a lot as a person since then. I think it's because the freedom, responsibility and self-esteem it gave me. It's definitely not a job for anyone, but those who try it out and like it will probably love it for a long time. On most days, at least. Thank you for watching this video, and take care out there. Later!
Big rig dreams under skies so sweet. Country roads and a heart so wide. Summer's her song and she's taking